Guess who's here? Theory's here. Welcome. You know what? I've not got a lot of energy today because I haven't had anything to eat apart from a cherry bagel. So I've got some wine gums here that I'm gonna eat, and hopefully it'll bring some energy back into me. Guess who's here? Theory's here. Welcome everyone. Today we are talking about Fight Night Champion 2 and the real reason, the secret finally revealed on why EA Sports refused to go back to the old times, go back to the good old days, which was Fight Night Champion, and make a sequel to it known as Fight Night Champion 2. So without further ado, make sure you like, subscribe, share on MySpace, and I'll just shut the hell up and we'll just jump right into it.
Let's just jump into it. Let's just jump into it. Let's just jump into it. Let's just jump into it. Let's just jump into it. Let's just jump into it. Let's just jump into it.
So reason number one is UFC is simply more popular than boxing. Now boxing is starting to come back, you know, it's starting to fight back a little bit. There was a dry period in boxing where nothing good was happening in boxing, but then we got the Conor McGregor, I was going to say Conor versus McGregor fight, Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather fight, then we got the Triple G and Canelo fight, then we got the Deontay Wilder and Fury fight, and finally boxing is back on the rise again. But still, UFC is more popular, and with the with the combat sport that is on the rise and has a lot of hype behind it, which is UFC, it's easy target for EA Sports to make some money. Saying that, the sales haven't been great for UFC 3, but still, as UFC continues to grow and more people start to enjoy it, start to follow the actual UFC itself, more people will start to buy UFC games. And with Conor McGregor being one of the biggest, if not the biggest name in combat sports at the moment, it also helps the sales of promoting another UFC game. So UFC 4, they'll just throw Conor McGregor on the cover, and people who don't even like UFC will just follow or just buy the game because Conor McGregor is on the cover. So with big stars like Conor McGregor, John Jones, Daniel Cormier, and rising stars like Israel Adesanya coming up, UFC is more popular and there is a bigger market for it to be sold on in terms of games. This just allows more opportunities for them to milk the franchise in general. It allows them to milk the game and the series in general, just because of the amount of people that will be playing the game, buying the game, and interested in the game, and they're allowed to promote it a lot easier. Reason number two, it's easier. It's just simply easier to make a UFC game than it is a boxing game. It's easier to promote, it's easier to make, it's easier to release. It's just easy in general. Reason it's easier to promote is once you made the UFC game, you can promote it in the next big UFC event. Maybe it's Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather in the UFC. You'll be able to promote the game across the octagon, through trailers, what have you. They just have more opportunities to promote and increase the sales. It's easier to make because all the fighters in UFC come under one license, which is the UFC. Whilst boxing, you might have to go to SpongeBob SquarePants, or you might have to go from Ralph to Simpsons, then you might have to go to Carl from Simpsons, then you might have to go to Marge and Simpsons, just to get a few boxes in your boxing game, because they'll be under different managements. Whilst UFC, there's just one guy saying, "Hey mate, you can have all my fighters if you pay me a good price." Comment down below what the hell that accent was, because I don't even know. I confused myself with that accent. So it cuts out a lot of work rather than going, "Oh, can we use your fighter please? Can we use your fighter? Can we use your fighter? Can we use your fighter? Can we use your fighter?" It just allows them to simply ask one person, "Can we use all your fighters?" And the answer is yeah. Okay, thank you. It's a lot easier to do that way. Number three, it's a lot more affordable rather than making a boxing game. Like I said, you have to go to individuals for licensing, for permission to use their boxer. And with Floyd Mayweather, there's no chance. He'd be like, "Yeah, you want to use my face in a boxing game? Yeah." I need to start doing that voice. "Show me the bags and you can put me in your boxing game, yeah." But UFC, it's just more affordable. As I've mentioned, there's just one license that you have to acquire should I say, and then you have all the fighters. With boxing, you have to go to individuals just to get the licensing, and it costs a ton. Whilst UFC, it's a lot more affordable, cuts out a lot of work, and it's just easier to do. Reason number 4, there's more money to be made. Now, this is where it gets controversial. This is where you start unsubscribing from my channel. This is where you start disliking the video and start thinking, well, boxing would sell more than UFC. True, it would. I reckon it would. If Fight Night Champion 2 came out, yes, it would sell. Yes, it would sell a lot more copies than UFC 4, let's say. But it wouldn't make them enough money than what UFC would. And that's just simply because, like I said, licensing costs so much that by the time you've developed it, ask for license, pay for licensing, release the game, you're gonna have a few pennies left to spend after you release it, even if it sells magnificently. Jesus, I can't even speak today. That's me trying to show how smart I am. I'll just say well instead. That's even if it sells well, the amount of money they make won't be enough because of the licensing, the development and all that. It's just a mess to deal with. Whilst UFC, even if it doesn't sell as well, just because the licensing doesn't cost as much, as because developing the game doesn't cost as much, there's more profit margin there than there would be with a boxing game. And the last reason is EA Sports are currently under a contract with UFC which demands them to make a UFC game. I think they have a 4-contract deal with the UFC. Basically, they have to make 4 UFC games and then the contract ends and they can decide whether to do another contract or they can go back to boxing, and I believe they will do another contract. Like I said, boxing is, I mean, Jesus Christ, UFC is on the rise, so I believe they'll renew the contract and then they'll make another 3 or 4 UFC games like we want it. I mean, I'm a massive UFC fan, but I'd rather have a boxing game than a UFC game. So UFC 4 is still ready to come out. It's still got to come out. It's going to come out in around 2020, early 2020, so you won't be expecting a boxing game. So don't expect a boxing game in any time soon. I really can't speak. Jesus Christ, you can tell I haven't had anything to eat. My thoughts are everywhere. Saying that doesn't help. Munching a bunch of wine gums while trying to talk, that doesn't help your speech at all. So
you serious?
maybe that's the problem here. So they're basically the reasons why EA Sports refused to go back to Fight Night and refused to make a Fight Night Champion 2, simply because it costs too much to make. It's just a mess to deal with all the licensing issues. They wouldn't make as much money as they would from a UFC game, and UFC is still on the rise and still growing, and I don't believe it's at its peak yet. So when UFC reaches the peak, there's going to be a lot more money to make from it, whilst boxing is still on the rise again. It's coming back again, so there's a lot more opportunities in UFC than there is in boxing. So thank you all for watching this video. I'm going to finish this pack of wine gums because I am starving. I've had a cherry bakewell all day and I've done it all night. I've had 3 hours sleep, so if my thoughts are everywhere, if I'm tripping over my words, you know why. So please cut me some slack instead of being like, this guy can't speak English. Oh my god, I'm from Italia and I can speak better English than this asshole. Until next time, make sure you like this video and subscribe. I've been THEAR. Put THEAR inside your heart. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down in this section below. What the hell did I just say? I'm just gonna end the video. Oh